This is one of the most conflicting things ever. Okay, so I'm going to be really blunt about this. It's nothing mysterious, although shocking. The Philadelphia 76ers have hired Daryl Morey as their president of basketball operations. Now, Elton Brand will quote-unquote remain as general manager, but is anyone really going to buy this? Don't. This is corporate backstabbing 101. This is what happens when a guy comes in and says they want a raise, and they badmouth the other employee, and then the CEO, who cares more for the company's profit than he does a conductive working environment, takes the word of the bad-mouthing employee, gives the employee the raise, kicks the loyal employee out of the club. That's what this is. This is slimy. 99.9% of the time, I would love to say we brought in Daryl Morey. 99.9% of the time. He's a GM that's made a lot of good moves, made some bad moves. I wouldn't have traded for Russell Westbrook. Small ball was, I would have rejected Mike D'Antoni on the flat. I would have been like, no, bigs matter in the NBA. You need rebounds, you need interior defense, you need the ability to keep people out of the paint. But other than that, generally speaking, Daryl Morey, through his 14 years, remember when Yao Ming goes down, this actually is the first time that they did small ball. They ended up having a Chuck Hayes, and they made a miraculous run with Tracy McGrady. This is a guy who is very innovative, very top cutting-edge mind. My position here has nothing to do with Daryl Morey, the human being. Daryl Morey, the general manager. Daryl Morey will be an excellent asset to the Sixer organization. It is the manner in which this is done and the context of the history, the recent history, that helps you to understand this is a dick move. This is a bitch move. So let's track back. Let's remember the 2018 offseason. Remember, Burning Gate happened, right? And all of a sudden, Brian Cranshaw had to step down because of the burners. Adrian Rosebaum basically said that everyone wanted to take the GM job. You know, Jerome B, Ben Simmons, and at the time, a lot of cap space. Everyone wanted to be in that position. But we didn't hear anything. Then, like a couple weeks later, a month later, you find that Elton Brand gets promoted, which at the time didn't make any sense. And it was because they wanted to keep the Colangelo people. I was outraged at the time. How do you have this opportunity sitting in front of you to be able to bring in some of the best minds in basketball? We could have done this then. Not specifically this, Daryl Morey. The Rockets refused us, as RB said. But you could have hired an excellent general manager, had an extra staff for 2018. You don't sign out Horford. Maybe you do trade for Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler's still here. But because they wanted to keep the Colangelo people, you basically bring this guy from the blue coach to be your general manager? And then, okay, let's flash forward. No one knows about Markelle Fultz's shoulder, and besides, Brian Cranshaw made that pick, but no one knew about it. And in hindsight, that 21st overall pick that we have this year, where if we get a guy like Desmond Bane, I'll consider it a win, because Markelle Fultz looks like some deep bench guard right now for the Atlanta Magic, shooting under 40% of the field. It's not something that, and don't get me wrong, I'd rather have Markelle Fultz at $12 million than have Horford at $27 million, but I would also rather have this 21st overall pick. So, Elton Brand ended up winning, or at least not losing, the Markelle Fultz trade in the end, if you really think about it. Now, here's the irony, and here's where I'll start mentioning the ownership backstabbing. DJ brought this up, that Elton Brand would not have made the Jimmy Butler trade if he didn't think he could resign Jimmy Butler. The whole point to Jimmy Butler, the whole point to Tobias Harris, the whole point was to run it back. That was the whole point. That was the whole point. But then, the clown was the clown. As we all know, worst coach in Sixers franchise history. I am glad he's gone. Jimmy Butler comes here, loves his teammates, but he's a terrible coach. It would be like going to a working environment. You work at a Fortune 500 company. You have great co-workers, but you see that your CEO is lazy, sloppy, he's fat, doesn't wear his tie right. And if the CEO is like that, you can only imagine that your company is going to decline in time. Jimmy Butler sees this in Brett Brown, and he's like, nah, man, I'm not going to sit here with some babysitter coach when what we really need is a coach to elevate us in X's and O's. Nah, man, I'm not going to do that. And when they said, can we control him, which really means, can we keep him from having the discussions with Brett that Doc Rivers wants to have with his players? 180-degree difference. But I don't think that Elton would have made that trade if you knew that Brett was a sissy. And if it did come down to this, like we've all been saying, you choose the top 10 player over the coach because the coach is replaceable. The coach is expendable. Jimmy Butler is not, as we all know. This ownership steps in and says we're going to keep the clown. As we all know, for one more year, if we get swept, then the clown's gone. This ownership has always undermined Elton Brand from the start. It undermined him then, and now this is the mea culpa of undermining Elton Brand. 5 days after Doc Rivers had an interview with Brian Seltzer, and he's like, I want to turn Elton Brand to one of the best black general managers, one of the best black executives. 5 days after that, this comes in. So you understand, this has nothing to do with Daryl Morey. This has everything to do with Jonathan Harris. Your front office was fine. When you brought in the cap guy, you brought in another top scout. Your office was now fine. You got rid of the Colangelo people. You got people that Elton Brand presumably talked to, got a feel for, wanted to bring onto the team. Then Jonathan Harris comes in, swoops in, and like, nah, bro, you're not going to oversee this. We're going to be in there, boy. We're going to be in the big, awesome, and he is awesome, but still, we're going to be in the big, awesome, there, boy. It is capitalist. Crony capitalism. It is Donald Trump, spoon in my mouth. This is what I do. You're fired. And it stinks that the Sixers are owned by this guy. Now, if we win the championship, all is good. If the Sixers win the championship, all is good. If we don't win the championship, and let's say that Doc feels disheartened by this, he should, and the Bears should feel even more disheartened by it, you might end up hearing rumblings. I'm going to predict it now. If we go through a stretch, you're going to hear rumblings about this, because it is backstabbing. Daryl Morey, the man, the GM, the president, great dude, 99.9% of the time, great hire. But in this instance, with these circumstances, with how the Colangelo people and how Jonathan Harris have been fucking over Elton Brand from the moment that they put him in the puppet, pisses me the hell off. The players are the players. I love the players. Ben, Joe, Even Josh, I feel like he should be coming off the bench. Basically, if you wear a Sixer uniform, you represent Philly, and I'm all for that. The organization, on the other hand, we have a great front office now, don't get me wrong, but we have the lingering ghost of Donald Sterling's twin in Joshua Harris. And so even though this is great for the franchise, it's still backstabbing. And the backstabbing part is what I don't like. That said, Daryl Morey, I welcome you. I welcome you to Philadelphia. I'm looking for you to do the great things you did in Houston. I'm looking for you to join the program. I just hate the circumstances on which you had to join. It's scummy to the worst degree. This is 60 Universe signing off.